A network management platform without alarm notification is not a network management solution. If you were to define the term alarms, you could summarize it as follows. You must be notified in real time of any event, and you must be able to set the alarms according to your criticality objectives. Don't drone critical information among hundreds of notifications sent in all directions. Alarms are generated by NDFC based on the discovery issues defined in the server alarm settings. Alarm includes switch SNMP and syslog alarms. The Event Analytics tab displays the alarms that are generated for various categories such as hardware or environment, the device concerned by the alarms, including the endpoint locator, the severity level per event, the source concerned by the failure, the creation time for each alarm, as well as the message with additional information about what happens and more. As usual, you can filter per name, per categories, per severity level, etc. And you can expand each alarm. You can also view the history of all cleared alarm. For example, you got an out-of-sync alarms and you remediated afterwards the sync using the config compliant process, for example. As a result, the alarm has been automatically cleared. However, you can always retrieve the alarms with its initial criticality level, its creation time, as well as when it has been cleared. By default, all original alarms are enabled. To deactivate or activate an alarm from the Alarm Policy tab, tick the checkbox of choice and apply your choice using the Action drop-down menu. You can create new alarms based on device health, for example, meaning when the device is unreachable from ICMP or from SNMP or from SSH. Interface health policies enable you to monitor up or down of the interface, packet discards, errors, bandwidth details of the interfaces, and by default, all interfaces are selected for monitoring. Syslog alarm policy defines a pair of syslog message formats, one which raises the alarm and one which clears the alarms. The Event tab displays all the traps that are generated by the switches with different details such as the source of the trap, the severity level, the description, and more. You can select one or more events and from the Action drop-down menu, acknowledge or unacknowledge their status. In addition, you can select one or more alarms and delete them if needed. The events come with three personas. You can create rules to forward selective events to email. You can view the total number of SNMP traps and syslog receiver. And you can retrieve all the sources that have generated traps and syslogs. You can receive NDFC alarms, events, and reports via email notifications. You need to configure a SNMP recipient if you wish to forward alarms and events to an email address. Notice that the SNMP host address must be reachable via the Nexus Dashboard Management interface. Thus, don't omit to create a static route entry for the management interface in the Nexus Dashboard cluster configuration. Configure the source and the recipient email address in the alarm settings. Alarms and events can be forwarded to an email when an alarm is created or when it is cleared or when the severity has changed. And you can forward alarms to multiple registered SNMP listeners in the Nexus Dashboard Fabric controller. You can create specific rules to forward your alarms of choice based on different criteria. You can view the accounting information directly from the user interface of NDFC. And if you wish, you can select a row and delete the accounting information from the list. Now let's look at the demo. From the Operation menu, the Event Analyzer tool displays the alarms that are generated for various categories. This window displays information such as the severity level, the source concerned by the failure, the name, the category, the creation time, and the last updated if it exists, the policy, the message that describes the alarms, and if the alarm has been acknowledged by an end user. You can select one or more alarms and then acknowledge or unacknowledge their status using the change status drop-down list. In addition, you can select one or more alarm and then delete them. This tab displays the cleared alarms. You can retrieve the descriptions, the severity prior to be cleared, the time received for the alarm, and the time for the clear actions. It tells you if the alarm has been cleared by an external process or by an end user, and the message. You can get a list of all available alarms from the alarm policies on the vertical tab, and from this tab you can enable or disable a particular alarm. You can add alarm policies for the device health, for the interface health, for the syslog alarms. Device health policies enable you to create alarms when a device is unreachable using ICMP or SNMP unreachable or SSH unreachable. Also, these policies enable you to monitor the device temperature, the CPU, and the memory usage, for which you can specify different severity level based on the percentage of the utilizations. So you need to specify the policy name, the descriptions, the CPU utilizations parameters, and etc. Under the device feature, you can select the BFD or PGP or HSRP traps received for these protocols. You can deactivate the alarm if you need. The Event tab displays the events that are generated for the switch. It displays information such as the fabric, the switch, the severity, the type, the description, and more. You can select one or more events and then acknowledge or unacknowledge their status using the change status drop-down list. In addition, you can select one or more alarms and delete them. You can run the event setup and retrieve the SNMP trap receiver, which is the first external management service IP address specified under the configuration of the ND cluster. By default, the alarm tools and event manager are enabled. However, you can ensure that the properties for the alarms are configured as expected. For that, go to the server settings window and open the alarm tab. If you need to forward alarms to an SNMP listener, you need to specify its reachability details here. There is also the Event tab from where you can edit the parameters based on your requirements. You can also retrieve the alarm from each device or from a fabric. Open the detail view and look at the Event Analytics tab. You get the alarm for this particular fabric with the same details we just discussed. You can retrieve the list of cleared alarms with all details, including who cleared the alarm. You can open one cleared alarm and get the initial alarms with its severity level and descriptions. And you can get the list of events for that fabric, if you will. When you are okay with the event, like the alarm, you can select one or multiple events and delete them. And finally, you can get the list of all recent tasks that generated the event.